go, Judge.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'd like to first begin by thanking you for taking this journey with us. This journey to justice. It's been hard, it's been long, but I promise you we're almost done. We're right on the cusp of this. Now, Mr. Beck Martin was the last known person to see Ms. Miles that fateful night. The last person. We have a motive. We have evidence. Now we need a conviction. This death was not an accident. There is an ocean of evidence that the defense has either pushed aside or tried to cover up to help Mr. Beck Martin. Now they'd like to tell you that after the conversation that Mr. Beck Martin and Ann had, that Ann continued to rock climb at night, continued her dangerous climb up the mountain. But as an experienced rock climber, would she continue? In the witness statements that were made, as Beck Martin and Cody were walking up, she was winding up her rope and getting ready to head home. She was not looking to make another climb, looking to continue her sport that night. She was looking to go home to her family. But her family was never able to see her again. She was found at the lowest point, 25 feet down and 30 feet out from the cliff, sustaining only a head injury to her temple from a 5-centimeter gash in her weakest point of her skull, a bruised left eye, and 3 lacerations on her wrist. Now, I tell you that Dr. Sage would like to make you believe that falling from 25 feet would only, you might break something. You might not. You might get a couple more bruises, but I tell you that a fall from that height, from a girl that size, you would break something. You would have more bruises. There would be more lacerations. A fall from 2.5 basketball hoops. No more. So let's back it up. Let's talk about the motive. Mr. Beck Martin was caught cheating with Cody. Mr. Beck Martin stole the keys to the test. Mr. Beck Martin insisted that Cody would join him on this cheating on the test because Cody knew too much already. Cody agreed. Cody has stated that she feels very strongly that she shouldn't have. This is Mr. Beck Martin and Cody's second offense. Mr. Beck Martin and Cody now will not graduate from high school. They will not go on to their respective colleges if they so wanted. Beck Martin's parents, during this time, are on a vacation. Beck Martin is well off. By no means that he needs this scholarship to go to college, but he needed to graduate. And with Ann turning in what she had found, the test, the evidence, would make sure that he would not graduate. When she found him, found Cody and Beck with the test, she put it in her backpack, put it in her locker. She said, I'll turn it in on Monday. You have until then to turn yourselves in. On Sunday, Beck calls Cody to drive him to Belena Beach to talk. One last plea. Please don't turn us in. In that car, one person was understanding. That person understood why Ann had to turn them in. The other was heated, enraged, growing more and more angry by the minute. The first person was Cody. She understood. Ann would be not allowed to graduate as well if she hid the evidence, and if it was found out. The second person was Beck Martin. Now, when they approached, like I said before, Ann was wrapping up her rope. She was done for the day. She is just before nightfall. Mr. Beckmartin walks up to her, angry, starts telling her that she needs to not turn them in, that it is not okay, and that he'll do anything he can to make sure that she does not turn them in. Cody, again, is understanding. Cody decides that she wants to go back to her car instead. She returns to her car at 7:50 p.m. She waits and waits. No Beck. An hour and 10 minutes later, Beck returns at 9 p.m. They continue to have a conversation. Upset, they decide to go home. The next morning, Ann is found on that beach with a 5-centimeter gash in her temple, a bruise above her left eye, and 3 lacerations from rope because she was tied up after Beck had thrown her into the water to get rid of the body. Now I want to show you, let's go with number 1, please. Real quick, of the diagram of the beach head. So the point where the body was found. Using the measurements, the rocky shelf, the point where the bloody rock was found, and the point where the body was found, at the lowest point is a 25-foot drop and 30 out. That bloody rock doesn't just end up there. She doesn't fall, hit her head, and roll off. She was hit deliberately in the temple by Mr. Beckmartin. Mr. Beckmartin attacked her, understanding what he had done, needing to get rid of the body, tosses her in the ocean, tied up, so that if she was awoken when she hit the water, that she would drown. Miss Ann Marcus died with water in her lungs just by doing the right thing. Mr. Beckmartin killed her in cold blood. And I'm not afraid to look at Mr. Beckmartin and say that you are a murderer. Please be quiet while I am giving my argument.
Your Honor, if you would gavel.
This world is scary enough. The evidence points directly towards Beckmartin. This is not an accident. Please, from the bottom of my heart, from the bottom of the family's heart, convict Beckmartin and put an end to this terrible, terrible story. Thank you.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. As you all know, I am a two, and I'm with the defense attorneys. And we are here, as you guys have been, to prove with beyond a reasonable doubt that my client, Beck Martin, killed Ann Marcus. So from the testimonies you've heard over the past few days, you heard details might have happened, things of what the witnesses presented that they had seen or they interpreted had happened. And on the night of this incident, June 6th, we see that these different stories that we've heard from both Beck Martin, Ranger Pollock, Pope, Plotnick, the doctor's agent, all of them, they have proven to say something. That the cause of death of Ann Marcus was drowning. And as saddened as I am for Ann Marcus's family, because they have lost a daughter, I would like to say that blaming my client, Beck Martin, for the murder of Ann Marcus is injustice. So the prosecution has said countless times that they believe my client, Beck Martin, committed the crime. They conclude that because, one, Beck Martin was a fiction writer, that his story or his statements were incorrect. Two, he admits to cheating, which also Cody, their client, has also admitted to. And three, that their client, Cody, had seen a blood stain on the wrist of my client on the night of the event. Now, it is not my job to tell you a story or to create a story for you. It is your job to take the evidence that you have been presented and create a conclusion from it. So what is fiction and what is fact? That is your job to decide. Not only did we hear expert testimony from Dr. Sage Garcia, but we also heard testimony from Ranger Plotnick, saying that on the night of the event, Ranger Plotnick had come to the car around 8:40 that evening, and he had seen nobody in the car at the time. That is to say that both Cody and Beck were not at the car, but as Cody had testified, that he was around the area, but the ranger says he didn't see anything. Second, Dr. Sage Garcia had testified that the injury sustained was not enough to say that the death came from that. It came from drowning. And from the ocean of evidence that the prosecution has spoken of, it's not actually an ocean, it's a pond. So there were no fingerprints, no DNA, and the forensic analyst, who has been for 18 years, her job, and has multiple written textbooks for other psychologists, have stated that the dried blood on the rock in the open air is the worst sample to draw evidence from. So this ocean of evidence that the prosecution has brought up is incriminating because it depended on assumptions, not fact. So the testimony that we heard from Dr. Sage Garcia, we heard that it was impossible for the fall to have caused her death in any way. Well, that is the job of the doctor to tell us what she interprets could have happened. And I believe she did a good job. So now the truth is that in the past, that both Beck and Cody had cheated. Yes, they did. But Beck, in his own statement, did not say that he feared that he would not be able to go to college without the scholarship. That was not his fear. And from the past testimonies we've had from Officer Kripke, that testified that Cody in his own self is a violent individual, very violent. And Beck has been told by Ranger Plotnick that he's one of the community members. He's very sweet, he's nice, he's broken up multiple fights. So in understanding this, why would someone who is known to be nice, who is known to break up fights, resort to killing somebody? Wouldn't someone who has a history of violence, a history of hitting other people, a history of getting mad, be the one to resort to violence? Cody was in fear for his future. Yes, he was. And during the incident, while Beck was talking to Ann around the code, he admitted to not taking the situation seriously. He did not follow Beck and Ann to the inside the code to have a conversation. He left. He did not feel that the discussion was important enough for his future. But my client, Beck, he continuously tried to talk to Ann and try to convince her to, wait a couple more days so he can talk to his parents. My client, Beck, had also talked to multiple individuals about the situation that happened. And me personally, I believe that why would you talk to somebody else about what you've done, which is wrong, cheating, if you felt the need to kill somebody? It just doesn't add up. So your job as the jury is to believe that the prosecution has proven beyond a reasonable doubt through the evidence presented that my client, Beck Martin, killed Ann Marcus. And if you feel any doubt in your mind because of the evidence that was presented to you, because of all the testimonies that you've heard, that you don't feel like they have proven beyond a reasonable doubt that Ann Marcus was killed by Beck Martin, then it is your job as a jury to acquit my client of the murder charges. Thank you.
I won't hold you back any longer. You have a tough task ahead, tough deliberation, just only do a few facts. Beck, when he was questioned at 11 a.m. on the following morning after her death, after Miss Ann Marcus's death, Beck knew of the head injury much before anyone else did. Only two people, two of our witnesses, Officer Kripke and our doctor. Two people knew of that head injury, but oh so coincidentally, Beck did too. But it was a guess, Beck would like you to believe, just an idea. But she didn't die of a head injury, she died of drowning, right? He thought he killed her. He was deliberately getting rid of the body when he tossed her into the water. Another thing, Cody is not on trial. Let's make that clear. The defense argument at first was it was an accident, and after that fell through, the defense started pulling a classic technique of confusion. They want to get as many stories in your head to think, oh, this could be possible, this could be possible. But there is one sound argument, there is one sound reason that Miss Ann Marcus is dead, and it is because Beck Martin killed her. Beck did not need the scholarship to go to college. I will reiterate that. But Beck was scared of what his parents would think and following in his siblings' footsteps, what the world would think. Beck was a crowning achievement of what a student should be, right? We all know of a perfectionist that may have turned a little wrong, may have got the pressures of life turned on him and cracked. Beck Martin is that man. He had the pressure of the world on him and he cracked. But that does not make anyone forget that he is a murderer.